It was just after dawn on November 9, 2005, when a frantic 911 call came through from a quiet suburban neighborhood in Robinson, Texas. The voice on the line was that of Gentry, a seemingly distraught wife claiming she had found her husband, Keith Gentry, shot and bleeding inside their home. The news sent shockwaves through the small community. The Gentrys weren't just any couple. They were well-liked, admired, and seen as the epitome of a happy family. But as investigators would soon uncover, behind that perfect facade lay a marriage slowly unraveling and a chilling truth waiting to surface. Before we dive deeper into this unbelievable story, make sure to subscribe and turn on your notification bell so you never miss first-hand updates on this and other true crime cases we cover. To everyone who knew them, Darlene and Keith Gentry seemed to have it all. They met young, fell in love quickly, and built a beautiful life together in Texas. Keith worked hard to provide for his family, while Darlene appeared to be the devoted wife and mother, always smiling at church gatherings and neighborhood barbecues. Friends described them as a couple everyone wanted to be like, warm, loving, and successful. But behind closed doors, things weren't nearly as picture perfect. Over the years, financial struggle began to strain their relationship. Keith, known for his practicality, was focused on maintaining stability, while Darlene had developed a taste for luxury, expensive clothes, trips, and a lifestyle their budget simply couldn't sustain. Arguments over money became frequent. Their once joyful home turned into a battleground of unspoken resentment and emotional distance. As pressure mounted, those close to the couple noticed subtle changes. Keith appeared more withdrawn, and Darlene seemed increasingly tense and impatient. What no one realized was that the growing divide between them would soon erupt in a deadly confrontation that would destroy everything they'd built. According to Darlene's version of events, she had gone to bed that night like any other. Sometime before morning, she claimed to have heard a noise, then found her husband shot in the head. In a panic, she dialed 911, insisting that an intruder must have broken in. Her story was emotional, even believable at first glance. Police officers arriving at the scene initially treated her as a grieving spouse, not a suspect. But as they began to comb through the house, details simply didn't add up. There were no signs of forced entry, no footprints, no fingerprint belonging to anyone but the couple. Valuable items remained untouched. It looked less like a robbery and more like an execution. Investigators' instincts told them something was off. As they examined Darlene's behavior more closely, subtle inconsistencies began to emerge. Her tone seemed rehearsed, and her recollection of events kept changing. The pieces didn't fit the picture she painted. Then came the first major breakthrough. While searching the home's trash, detectives discovered a pair of latex gloves covered in gunshot residue and a .222 caliber shell casing, the same caliber as a bullet found in Keith's body. It was an alarming discovery that pointed towards someone inside the home. When questioned, Darlene denied knowing anything about it, but the physical evidence told a story of its own. The deeper investigators dug, the clearer Darlene's motive became. In the weeks before the murder, Keith had taken out a life insurance policy worth between $500,000 and $750,000, a substantial amount of money. Records showed Darlene had recently made inquiries about insurance payouts and had even discussed financial plans that would have benefited her directly in the event of Keith's death. It was a chilling revelation. To police, it began to look like murder for profit, carefully planned and executed under the guise of a home invasion. The loving wife the community thought they knew was now emerging as the prime suspect in her husband's cold-blooded killing. In 2006, Darlene was arrested and charged with Keith's murder. However, she was later released on bail pending trial. But instead of keeping a low profile, she made a move that would seal her fate forever. Soon after her release, Darlene purchased a piece of rural property outside town. Not long after, she asked a local contractor to fill in a pond on the land, claiming it was a safety hazard. To police, the timing and reasoning were suspicious. Investigators decided to keep an eye on the area, and what they discovered next changed everything. Divers searching the pond pulled out a .222 caliber revolver, rusted but still intact. Ballistics tests confirmed what detectives feared. The gun matched the casing and bullet used to kill Keith Gentry. The weapon had been tossed into the water, likely in a desperate attempt to hide it forever. But that wasn't the end. Under surveillance, investigators captured Darlene returning to the pond, unaware she was being filmed. It appeared she wanted to make sure the gun was still hidden, but her visit only deepened her own incrimination. The evidence was undeniable. She had killed her husband, then tried to cover it up. When Darlene Gentry finally stood trial in 2007, prosecutors laid out a meticulous case built on forensic evidence, financial motive, and her suspicious actions after the crime. Her defense argued that the evidence was circumstantial, claiming she was innocent and that someone else could have planted the gun. But the jury didn't buy it. After deliberation, Darlene was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to 60 years in prison. To this day, she maintains her innocence, insisting she had nothing to do with Keith's death. But for investigators and the community that once admired the Gentrys, the truth was clear. Greed and desperation had turned love into betrayal. The woman who once appeared to have the perfect life had orchestrated the unthinkable, the murder of her own husband for money. The story of Darlene and Keith Gentry is a haunting reminder that appearances can be deceiving. Behind the smiles and family photos lay secrets, lies, and a marriage poisoned by greed. In the end, justice caught up with Darlene, but at the cost of a man's life and the shattering of countless others. Cases like this remind us that evil doesn't always wear a mask. It can live right next door, hidden behind a smile. If you want to stay updated on stories like this, real crimes, real people, and real consequences, make sure you're subscribed and your notifications are on. Because in the world of true crime, the truth is often far darker than fiction.